Morning and welcome to another Verbling class. Today's class is on project management vocabulary. Good morning, Chow.
Good morning, Simon. Did I pronounce that right?
That's correct, and did I pronounce Chow correctly?
Yeah.
Excellent. Where would you be from? Would you be from Taiwan, maybe? Or not Taiwan,
I'm from
Thailand?
China.
Oh, China, okay.
China.
I wasn't sure. What part of China?
Now I'm working in Shanghai, so.
The big mega city of
I'm
Shanghai.
I'm from Anhui, and it was a rather small city, and now I'm working in Shanghai. So, yeah, it's a very big city and very modernized.
Yes, it is a very big city. It's what we call a mega city.
Mega city.
Yeah, mega city.
Yeah. Have you been to China or Shanghai?
Well, we stopped at the airport in Shanghai, but no, I haven't been to Shanghai. I've been to Fushan, Shenyang, and Henan.
Cool.
Yeah. So what brings you to this class? What caught your interest?
Oh, the project management. So actually, I have been in Berlin for 2 years when it started, and I was starting intensively for the first year in the English classes, and for the past year I have been studying Spanish on Berlin, so I didn't join English class very often. But this class, I think is very interesting in project management, so and I decided to join.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you could join. So I'm going to start off by sharing a screen. And we're going to talk about project risk management today. Do you know what project risk management is about?
Well, I don't know, it's some risk to reduce or to balance the risk when someone started a project or something like that.
Okay, so what is a risk then?
Risk is everything has a risk. It's a variation of the object you may move into. I mean something you haven't expected it will happen. So
Okay.
you may thought something.
Yeah, it's definitely something unexpected.
Yeah.
Now, some people think that risk is an exposure to danger, and it's not. And that's one of the most common definitions, but it is not. Risk is the possibility that something will happen unexpected. Again, a dictionary will say unpleasant or unwelcome will happen. Well, no, it is not. A risk is the fact that something unplanned or that you're unaware of will happen. Okay, so it's not always something negative in a project management terminology. Okay, so for example, I'm on a project. It has a deadline. Management says we have to hit this deadline. It's very important. So you need to, of all everything else, you have to manage the schedule. So I identify the schedule as a risk. There is a chance that the schedule could be extended if certain events happen. So we need to monitor those events. We need to have a plan for it. When we start the project, if let's say I see that, well, all the events that we thought would happen aren't happening, and the risk that we could to the schedule is in fact turning out to be true. However, the risk is that we could complete the schedule earlier. Okay? And to take advantage of that, we would collapse a schedule. So there's an opportunity to collapse a schedule. So not always is something bad going to happen. Sometimes something good could happen. And your role as a project manager is then to take that to management and say, look, you said schedule is important. We have an opportunity here to complete the schedule, or complete the project a month ahead of schedule. It'll cost $20,000. Do you want to do that? They say yes. Now you take that opportunity and you turn it into a reality. So risk isn't always negative. Quite often it is because, well, we're looking for things that could derail the project. But sometimes things can go in a positive direction. If we're planning for bad weather and we don't get it, well, we have an opportunity there to either stay on schedule or collapse the schedule and get it done sooner, right? Okay, yeah. I think Wellington just joined us. Hello, Wellington.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
Good. We got Chow from China with us.
Good to speak with you, Wellington. Hello, Wellington.
Hello. Hello, Chow.
Good to know you.
Sorry, I don't understand. My connection is a little failing.
Well, I hope you have a better connection today.
Oh.
Well, I tell you what, you guys will have plenty of time to talk. Let me jump into the material. Since it's just the two of you, it's kind of like a private class. Well, it is a private class. It's just the two of you. So let's take a look at what the Project Management Book of Knowledge says about what project risk management is. It's one of the key knowledge areas. And project risk management includes all the processes. Okay, that's important. It's a bunch of processes to conduct risk management planning. So we do the planning, we do identification, we do some analysis, we do response planning, because you can't just analyze it and not do anything with it. And then, of course, you have to monitor and control the risks. So we've got all the plans in place. We just have to keep an eye on things. Okay?
Okay.
Now, here's kind of what I said earlier. I don't know if you were here at the time, Wellington, but the objectives of risk management are to increase the probability and impact of positive events. Okay? Yeah. And decrease the probability of negative events. So when you're dealing with project management, risks aren't negative, they're not positive. Okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to look at negative events and decrease them, but at the same time increase the impact of positive events. Like the example of building a highway. Everyone tells us that we're going to have a bad winter. Turns out that we have a mild winter. Well, instead of just going, hey, this is great, let's keep on schedule, we have an opportunity to take advantage of the good weather, right?
Yes.
Okay. So these are all the processes, and I'm just going to run through them, and then we'll have a bit of a dialogue. So the first one, it's all about planning. Okay? It's a process, and planning is all about defining how we do this whole risk management piece. Okay? It's about planning. It's all it is. What do we do? How do we identify the risks? How do we analyze them? All that kind of stuff. This is what we plan. Then once we've done the plan, we pretty well set out to identify what the risks are. So what we're looking for here is anything that can affect the project. Okay, and think of it this way. You might want to think of the three constraints of project management. They are cost, schedule, cost, schedule. I keep saying budget, but that's the same as cost. Cost, schedule. Oh, what's the third one? We got cost. We got schedule. I can't remember. What's the third constraint, Wellington? No, you don't know either. Okay. Well, I do know it. I just can't recall it right now, so I'm just going to ignore that. So anything that can affect these three elements, we need to keep an eye out. We need to identify what can affect the schedule, what can affect the budget. Oh, scope, what can affect the scope? So if somebody wants to change the scope, or we've got people on the project that we know are unhappy that could alter the scope, that's a risk, right? The environmental phase could affect the project scope. Building a highway, you could encounter an area of land that is unstable. That's a risk. Okay, so once we've identified all the risks, we need to perform some analysis. And in these two processes, we're looking at doing a qualitative and then a quantitative. Chao, what's the difference between qualitative and quantitative?
Well, qualitative is more like, well, I'll get with the quantitatives first. Quantitative is about the data and about something without the, well, it's about the numbers and data, and it's not something you can feel. I mean, but the qualitative is something conceptually, intuitively, or about the depth, about the. Oh, it's hard to describe that. So I don't know.
It's always easy to look at this way. Quantitative is all about the numbers, right?
Yeah.
We have specific measurements, we have numbers, we have data backing it up. Qualitative is more subjective,
Yeah.
right? We don't have exact numbers, okay? Either way, we analyze it from both perspectives, and it's where we prioritize the risks. So here we have two things. We have the probability of a risk happening, and we have the impact. And quite often, we multiply the two together to get a score. And that's how we prioritize the risks. Okay? So the higher the number, the greater the priority, not the lower the number, because if you multiply them together, then you need the larger numbers, right? So that's usually how we do it. And of course, planning a risk response is all about having a contingency. What do we do? Okay, how do we enhance the opportunity, and how do we reduce the threats? Most of the times on a project, we're concerned more with how to reduce the threat. So this last project I worked on, when I saw an opportunity to reduce the schedule, I jumped on it. And so did management. They were very happy with that. And of course, the last process is all about implementing the risk response plan. Okay? It's keeping an eye on everything to make sure that we are aware of the progress to see if a risk is coming true. Okay, so what I would like to do, I'd like to give you 2 minutes to talk about projects you've worked on. And welcome, Saiban.
Thank you.
So I'm going to leave this up on the screen. So I want each of you to talk for 2 minutes on a project you were on and how risk events either hurt the project or the project manager was able to take advantage of risk events and expand on the opportunities. So we'll start with Chao. Chao, you've got 2 minutes.
Okay, so a project that I'm working on is, actually I'm working in Coursera is an online learning platform, and the project I'm working on is with Evernote, and we offer courses for students to learn, and the Evernote would like to give a position, the intern position for the students who finish our courses, so they have the opportunity to join the Evernote for intern. And the risk of the project is for several things. I mean, maybe no one would join this project, so we cannot have the result. And the other is when the courses is not that fitting for the students, so the courses may end earlier before they finish, before the project finish. So there may some students cannot join the courses. And the cost, the risk, what are the risks? That maybe the Evernote may be pulled off if they are not messy. A little bit messy here. So, well, actually, I would talk about the project because now the project have been at the very end, and I do have some problem with this. The project is the thing I mentioned before is that not many students, not many people participate in this project. So we just got one or two students apply for the project, and there are just 1 week remaining. So,
Okay. Did you identify student participation as a risk?
Well, actually, now I don't see that as a risk.
Okay. Well, the lack of student participation would impact the project, right?
Yeah, it do, but
so that's a risk, right? So if you see that you obviously need a certain amount of students for the project to be successful. So what is a risk to the project? Well, not getting enough students would be a risk. So your risk response, so you've identified that risk. Now let's do some analysis. What is the probability of that happening? Is it very popular? Do you have a lot of students who could use it? Is it popular? Hold on, let me finish. If the answer is yes, then okay, so that's not a big concern. Well, what time of year is it? So look at the time of year. And once you want to identify if there is a high risk that it could happen, then you need to do something to get the word out there, right? So that's part of identifying the risks, is thinking what could affect the outcome of the project. Okay, Saiban, you've got 2 minutes. Can you tell me an experience you've had on a project and where not identifying a risk affected the project?
Okay. I was always, I mean, as I just mentioned in the previous lesson about the project, I mean, it was the same lesson. So, okay, I talked enough about my project. To just remind you briefly about my project that I'm currently working to found marketing, online marketing in my city, and there's many. I was in short many. Please, Islam, that your name is Islam. Please mute yourself because you're making some noise. Okay, so okay. There's many risks of taking this. I mean, of this project. One of the risks that I'm really concern me is the bank account. My project, it is like exactly like the post company, which is advertising clothes, women clothes and men clothes, to be more specific, and this clothes that it is existed in the current market, in the physical market. So I will be like, I mean, like connecting or connecting the retailer that I have in the current market to the customer. I mean, so instead, customer coming and browse the clothes in the market, I will just show this. Okay.
Thank you. So Saibat brought up a really good example. In the clothing industry, there are a lot of risks. For one is, one of the risks is you don't produce the right quantity of clothing, for example. Whether it be a jacket, shoes, it doesn't matter. Why that's important is if you produce too much, you lose a lot of money.
if you don't produce enough, you miss out on money, right? You miss out on revenue, okay?
Yes.
And if you don't produce enough, you don't have enough time to go and make more, because by the time you make more, the season's over. So in retail clothing, this is very important right here, or quantitative analysis.
Yes.
Right? This is very, very important. I could teach an entire class on just this alone.
Yes.
So that's very good, Saiban. And when the students get a chance to talk, I really would love to have you tell us more about what you guys do in the analysis phase. Isam, I keep muting you because you've got a lot of background noise. Please keep yourself on mute until you're ready to speak. Thank you. All right, Hussein, I'd like you to do the same. If you could give us some examples of where you led a project where the three constraints, scope, schedule, and budget, were affected by not properly identifying project risks. And again, a project risk is it's the probability of an event happening that could affect the project scope, schedule, or budget. All right, and it can be a positive or negative. Risks aren't always negative, not on a project. Go ahead, please. Hussein? All right, so I've lost Hussein. Eslam.
I guess.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, if you could give us examples of where you were on a project where not all the risks were identified and what happened.
Actually, I haven't run any project yet, but I just want to get more information because in the future maybe I would like to carry out some work on just risk management on different projects. So I can't say any example of just real work of mine, but generally I can give some examples from other projects if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, if it's okay. I would like to say, in my country, Azerbaijan, there are different courses. They suggest, different language schools, okay? And actually, I'm not pretty sure what to say about it. There are just the great number of language courses. They offer different languages, and I don't know what can be the risk. Risk here can be, all course maybe you don't have this kinda, but in my country, they generally offer English language, French, okay, German, and this kind of languages. Here, the risk can be just they have a good advertisement, but sometimes they don't have enough qualified staff. And when the student and the people who want to learn language, they come to the courses, to this study centers, they don't find it qualified enough. I don't know if I get the question in a right way or not.
I think that's good. So think of it this way: on your project, it's not really a project in this case. It's an operating activity. So I don't really call that a project. But let's go back to, let's treat it as a project. So you've got to provide training for a project, right? So part of this project, training needs to be provided. Now the risk is that you may not have enough trained staff for the demand, right? So that's the risk. So based on your analysis, that'll determine how you should respond. So you need to do a little bit of analysis. You can't just say, Well, there's a risk we may not have enough trained staff. Well, let's find out how many students you'll have, how many students per teacher, and then you can find out how much staff you need and train accordingly. Thank you, Essam. Hogan.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, sir.
I'm sorry for late.
That's okay, glad you could make it. So Hogan, I'm wondering if you can give me some examples of where you were on a project and we had cost overruns, or the project ran late, or there was a change in scope, and this led to consequences because risks weren't identified.
Okay. So what's your question then?
That was my question. Well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. So can you give me an example, please?
Yeah, when you start a new project and you need how many people involved in this project and how long it will take, and what kind of risk you have. For example, when you are doing the project, maybe some unexpected some unexpected things happen, then you cannot predict in the beginning, then it caused the consequence of a failure. So you probably try to identify every single risks it can happen later.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, if that answers your question.
Well, it does, but what I was asking for is examples on projects you've been on where you've noticed this. So can you give us any examples?
Oh yeah. For example, we have it's really an example. We have a project to develop a new features, but we failed to anticipate some customer issues. So we do not give proper time for the completion of the project. So while we are doing project, a lot of new customer issues coming in, and most likely the customer issue is a high priority. So we have to spend on that the customer issues. Then finally we could not make the schedule. So that was a risk we had before.
Okay, good, and that's excellent. Identifying risks is very, very important. But it doesn't just happen once. Every day you're on the project as a project manager and the core project team, you're keeping an eye on things. You're looking for new risks. You're monitoring existing risks. You can't just have a risk management meeting, identify your risks, and then you're done. You have to keep at it. It's an ongoing thing. All right, well, what I'm going to do now, unfortunately, we keep having students coming and going because of connection issues, but what I would like to do is give you guys a chance to have a discussion with each other. I'm going to give you guys 4 minutes each. I'm going to let Chow and Essam have a conversation, and what I want you guys to talk about with each other is projects you've been on, that you're aware of, where risks or the failure to identify risks has caused the project to be delayed or cost more. Now, the whole purpose of this is to get you guys using the vocabulary that you see here. So everything I've got highlighted, try to use these words in your discussion. Now, you only have 4 minutes, so it's important to make sure you don't take the entire time. Make sure you engage your partner in this as well. So I'm going to start the clock now. Chow and Islam, go ahead and let's hear what you guys have to say about your experience with project risks.
Sure. Hi, Aslam.
Hi.
Yeah, could you share me some example about the project you're working on and something, some risk haven't been anticipated, then affect the result of the project?
Actually, I have mentioned before that I haven't been
Oh,
just
oh yeah.
especially
Mm.
engaged in any project, but I just would
Oh,
like
sure.
to give some more information. And if you have such kind of experience, I would listen with great pleasure.
Oh, cool. So I'm gonna share my example. I just shared before. I don't know if you heard, but I'll just be quick to summarize. I'm working on a project, and our company is to offering the online courses to help the students to improve their working skills, and I'm a partner with another company who would offer some internship for these students. So basically, the students will learn the courses from us, and to use to and the good student can get the opportunity to went to another company for the working opportunity. So we promoted this project online, and we started that 2 weeks ago and used some social media tool. But the problem I didn't pay much attention is that the number of students who will join this campaign, this project. So now I feel like the risk become should affect the whole project. Is that not many people join this, not many participants to join this project. So that is my problem. That's the problem of the project now. So could you give me some suggestion or recommendation about this? No one joins. So how to promote it again within the time?
um, it was pretty good experience, but due to some noisy, I'm very sorry I couldn't catch all the process. So I'm afraid I can't give any advice, but anything to say. But thank you for your experience sharing me, and thank you very much.
Well, actually, if you didn't hear everything he said, ask him to summarize again, right? That's part of communication. If you don't always understand, you can always ask, can you explain a bit more about what your actual problem is?
If it's a problem, if you don't mind, just could you give me just brief summarize again the main
Sure.
problem you had?
So basically, I started a project, but not many with another company, but not many people join this project. Not many participants would like to
Okay.
join this project. So cannot attract more participants to join. So basically, that's it.
Yeah. As far as I understand that, as far as I understood that it was a project, but you didn't take into consideration the number of members, right?
Yeah. I won't expand the number of the members who want to join this.
Yeah. You could. I think that you could make more advertisement and to share this project just before starting on social media or maybe even on TV.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, but
that,
but budget is the problem. We don't have enough budget now, and
budget, you
the
mean?
time
Yeah,
and it's
budget.
just still 1 week. It will finish, so I have just one more week to or 10 days.
Okay, you yourself funded, give financial support to your project, or?
Sorry, guys, let me
I'm sorry.
interrupt
Could you say?
because your 4 minutes are up. I think this is a great example. So let me ask you a few questions, Chao.
Yeah.
You've got a week left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will the project be a failure if you don't have enough students?
Well, that is a very good question. So actually, we started the project for two purposes. One is PR, so let other people know that. So that I think basically we have been achieved that goal. The second is that there are some people join and to make the project more completed. So I think we achieved the first goal, but the second goal I'm not sure. If there are no people join, that would be a failure.
Well,
And for the further PR, that would be some negative things.
Well, that's what you need to check with management. If they feel that doing this, having the right sample size, because if you don't have the right sample size, your data can't be trusted.
no matter how good the people are who are on it, because it's not representative enough. So if you can present them options and they choose to, well, let's try this phase again, there's many things you can do to get student involvement. One, yes, you are going to need somewhat of a budget. Social media is one way of doing it, but offering a free iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy S6 phone, for example, or something that these students want or enjoy. Because if you offer something, and not to everyone, but if you say you have a chance of winning this or something, you've got to determine what it is they would want, then you've got a much better chance of getting involvement. The whole what's in it for me, right? That's what you got to think about. All right, great. Well, there's only 3 of you here, so the next conversation, I'm going to let Hogan and Chow have a 4-minute conversation. Okay, so again, the same subject. We're talking about risks. Chow had a great example of not properly identifying all the risks or having a plan in case they were to come true, because here we are a week before the project's due to wrap up and we don't have enough data. So gentlemen, you have 4 minutes starting now.
Hello.
Hi, Chao.
Hello. Good to be with you.
Yeah, everything's okay. And
Yeah, I think it's okay. Apart from the project.
sure. So you may ask something about project.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right.
Yeah. Actually, I have shared my problem.
Okay.
Would you like to share your own project and we can explore more on your own project?
Okay. So while I'm saying, if you have any questions, just let me know. Then I try to ask you a question. And there was a project that I was involved in, and that was we are creating a software to log some network problems while we are connecting to a database. And that was given to our team, and we have 1 month of a period to complete it. So when we the meeting at the preparation, we actually underestimate the time and the power we had. So in the project it is going on, we expected this software is dependent on some other modular from other teams. We have to ask them to help us, otherwise it cannot go well. So that's the kind of risk which we couldn't anticipate in the beginning. And
Okay, so the manpower.
the manpower and the unexpected the event, that's the dependency problem. We have to identify that our product is dependent on some features from other teams as well, but we missed that. That was one big mistake.
Okay, so the other team, does the other team want to cooperate with you guys and to build up the project together, or it's very costly to looking for the help from the other team?
Right. So originally we expected it can be completed in 1 month, but ends up we delayed our schedule because we need some help from other team. So like about a week. So we delayed it.
Okay, so it's not about the manpower, but the time. So the working load. I mean, okay, I think we have. I think you have 2 options. One is to reduce the working load to make the project easier to finish, to reduce some features on the product, so you can finish that before the timeline. Another is to increase the manpower, but it may increase the cost and finish the project right on the point. So I think there's a trade-off between the time you want to achieve and the cost you want to bring in.
Right, that's
so
a good point. Yeah, so increasing manpower is not an option because we have only 4 people know this project, and we cannot add any of them. But we should have identified the risk we are have, will face, so that we can like give another one week or two, then we can finish it in time.
Yeah, and if the time doesn't matter, I think you can just to delay that and to make that finish. So.
Okay, there is another the risks we ignored is we also have to deal with the customer issue at the same time. We are not only
Sorry, gentlemen.
Okay.
The time is up, but the conversation isn't over. This is an opportunity for me to talk about 4 strategies for negative risks or threats. So one is we can just avoid the risk, right? So that's risk avoidance is where we act to eliminate the threat. So what is the risk? Can we do something? Can we change the project in a way so that way that risk is no longer valid? Okay, transferring the risk. Well, this is a very useful technique too. We could use insurance as a good example of transferring risk. So, for example, I'm living in Shanghai and I'm working with a city, and there's a risk of a hurricane. Well, I can't prevent the hurricane from coming. I can't do anything about that, but I can purchase insurance. And while that won't decrease the probability of the event happening, it will reduce the impact, right? Because now you'll at least be provided with funds if something happens. To mitigate, risk mitigation is a response strategy where the project team tries to reduce the probability of the occurrence or the impact, or both. And accepting is where, well, we just accept it. There's nothing we can do about it. So, for example, in this last discussion, Hogan mentioned about they were dependent on another project. There was nothing they could do. They just had to accept that risk. And in situations like that, if you've got free time on your hands, maybe you have the opportunity to spend more time on other things should that risk happen, right? Now, there's four strategies for positive risks. Like I gave an example before with the schedule, well, we can exploit it. Exploit is where we have a positive risk impact, and we do everything we can to ensure that that opportunity is realized. Okay? We could share a positive risk with others. It's kind of like the insurance situation, only different. And of course, we can enhance it. So enhance is a way of increasing the probability that the positive impacts will occur. And of course, just like the negative, we can accept it. It's like, okay, it's positive, that's fine, we accept it. We don't do anything about it, though. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys another 4 minutes of talk time. Actually, I'm going to give you 5 minutes because you guys are having a really good conversation. This time, I'm going to have Eslam and Hogan. No, I'm not. Eslam just left. So Hogan and Chow, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put a timer at all. I'm just going to let you guys talk. Keep an eye on what I type because I'm going to provide feedback through the group chat, okay? Go ahead, please.
Hi, Chow. Nice to see you again.
Hi. Good to talk with you again.
Yeah, sure. Okay, this time I want to ask you about your project, which involves some risk management. Yeah, can you explain one of yours, the project?
Yeah. So you want another project to discuss?
Yeah, if you have another project.
Okay.
Oh.
So, well, could I just go back to the project I was talking about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you prefer, yeah, you can explain about the project as well.
Yeah. And Simon just give me some suggestion about that, like giving some incentives to the participant, like a iPhone 6 or something like that. And we did give some incentives, like some digital pen and some T-shirt or something like that. But I think the problem was it's not attractive to everyone, and it's not big. It's a big incentive enough. And our budget is limited, so I don't think I can provide. Well, I don't know if I can provide some larger incentive for the students to join. That may be an option, but I'm not sure. Another problem I have is I only have 10 days, and for the student to finish to participate in the project, they may need at least 1 week. So it's very intensive now, and I don't know. What if I just let that happen and don't devote too much efforts on this project? Just let it die slowly. And if there's someone attend, that's okay, because it won't be a huge impact on the project if it get failed anyway. I don't know.
Okay, so the first one is you do not know much about how many people to participate in the project, like digital pen,
Yeah,
right?
I think there will be very little. We anticipated there will be 10 more people, and that would be successful. But now I'm not sure. Maybe just less than 5 people will join.
So is there any
now,
better way to recruit the more people to involved in the project? Have you
oh,
any
actually, it's not
discussed it?
about the it's not about the workers to build into the project, but the participants to join
Participants, okay.
Participants. Yeah. So.
Okay. See.
Yeah.
So the second one is like you have only 10 days to finish up. Then how
Yeah,
did you decide the 10 days? You have to do it in 10 days, or you just decide the 10 days enough to finish the project? And how did you?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and we kind of post the deadline on the social media, but definitely we can delay that deadline maybe to another week. But I'm not sure if the other week will work. But I think that is a good point to postpone the deadline and to provide more incentives. But another risk is whether postpone the deadline will makes the existing participants unhappy because they will think, oh, it's not fair. Why do you postpone? Why do we change the deadline or something like that? But I think that would be good.
Yeah, when we are doing our project, the period is very important. So in the beginning of the project, we almost always we just underestimate the time we are going to take the action. For example, in the beginning, it looks very simple, like okay, so 10 days is enough. But while you're doing, then there are many single details coming up. Then it make us to the delay. So I think when we are the project planning, we probably have to some lead time. If you think like 10 days is enough, then we probably calculate 1.2 times or something. So like okay, so maybe we have another 2 or 3 days to some flexible time so that we can make the deadline. So it's always happening in our projects. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
Yeah. So anything else you want to talk?
I don't know, maybe because I'm a newbie to the project management, and I just starting my work like 6 months. So maybe give me some general suggestion or some share your successful experience with the project, and tell me some key or some something you think is very important when you doing your personal project.
Yeah. So I would say like we had some project have been done before, so we can analyze what have been done. So what's good and what's bad. For example, like you have some successful project, then you have to analyze what's good and what's bad, like how many times involved and how long it took, and from the planning to the review, you analyze what's good and bad, and also you also have to analyze a bad example. So what it failed because of the time, or because of the manpower, or because of unexpected event coming in. So I think it's a good idea to review a couple of good and bad projects before. Then next time you're planning, it's better to consider all the possible risks you will have. That's my comment. Okay, I think I'm done.
I'd like to jump in for a sec.
Yeah.
One of the most important things you can do when you're starting out, Chow, is you're building a repository of issues, or not issues, of lessons learned. So on this project, don't just come away with, yeah, we didn't plan that properly. Come away with an analysis of that. So what did we do wrong? What could we have done better? What can we do on future projects? You're building a repository of knowledge, and that's very, very important, not only for yourself, but for your employer. Okay, so don't forget that part of the analysis, and this is what we usually do after the project. It's part of the project closure. Sorry, guys, continue.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
You're done. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Let me ask you some questions, Hogan.
Sure.
So on the projects you've been on, how much time do you guys spend on identifying risks?
Oh, that's very good question. We really haven't. We do not put any time aside for the risk management. We just go ahead. How long will it take, and
So
how
you
many
guys have
members?
an infinite budget, I guess, right?
Yeah, for example, not really infinite. We have limited number of the team members, and we have the limited time. So we can squeeze some projects into the time frame. For example, the time frame is like 3. Hello?
So you've got plenty of money then, so you never have to worry about budget.
Okay.
Okay, well, see, that's fine. When you don't have to worry about budget, which is very, very rare, it doesn't matter as much. However, this will affect your schedule. So it doesn't matter how many limited people you have. If you don't spend at least some time on identifying risks, I can guarantee you your projects will take longer to complete. So even if you only spend an hour or two, this is very important. Even if you're driving home and you're thinking about it, or you're on the train, this is one of those things that you need to have in your mind. These are the things that keep most project managers up at night, because they're afraid of what might go boom in the night. By keeping track of these, and you don't need any fancy software. Use Excel. Put them in Excel. Keep them there. And take a look at it every now and then. Then if something does go wrong, when it comes to explaining to management, you can say, hey, we identified these risks. We talked to these people. They accepted this. You're no longer the problem. You didn't do your job. You did do your job. So that's why this is very important. Or do you disagree?
Yeah, that's a good comment. So we really have to spend some time for the risk management. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think it's that important, and the smaller you are, generally, the less apt you are to do it for some reason. And people usually say, yes, but we're small, we don't have a lot of resources, we don't have a lot of money or time. Well, then this is one of those things that is very important. Now, because you're small, you don't have to follow every single process. That's the good news. You don't need to follow all of them. But if you look at the ones that I have here, plan. Well, you know what? Let's book a meeting for 2 hours. Let's get key people together. And let's just talk about planning. And maybe planning is just this. Hey, let's identify all the risks that there are. Okay, so we've got a list of 10 risks. Okay, now, what can we do with these? So, as I typed earlier, you can accept it, you can mitigate it, you can transfer it, or you can avoid it. Once you label that on every risk, now you can say, okay, what do we need to do for each of these? So if we're going to avoid it, what do we have to change on the project? If we're going to transfer, what do we need to do? It's very, very important. And I wanted to give you an example of a project I was on. It was a year past due. I was told we had to have it ready by June. I said to my manager, there's no way we can get it ready by June with the scope that we have. He said, well, then you better put that up, then you need to write up a memo explaining the situation, providing 3 options, and a recommendation. So it's exactly what I did. And the first option showed an extra 6 months and, I don't know, maybe let's say $100,000. The second option showed an extra 2 months, but an extra $200,000. And the third option was we descope this piece of the project for later, cost savings, $20,000, schedule on time. And guess which one they picked? The last one. But the funny thing was, is they spent 40 minutes arguing over the first 2. At that point, I said, wait a minute, I have one more option. And when I said, we descope it, we don't really need it right now, it'll save us money, and we'll get it done on time, everybody instantly said yes. So remember, this has power. When you do present the risks to management, it's not sufficient to just present the risks. You need to present them with options. That's why I said you need to identify whether you accept, transfer, right, or mitigate, etc. And you need to have a plan behind it. And when you present it to management, they don't want an hour conversation. They want to know what options they have, and those options should always have dollars and time and result. So that's very important. Any questions, guys?
So what if you cannot...
go
go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so what if you cannot really identify the risks and find while you are working on it? Then can we change the plan?
Then you don't have any, right?
Yeah.
Easy. You can't plan anything you don't have. It's kind of like, how can you spend money you don't have? Well, you can't. However, you're always going to have risks, right? I think what you're trying to ask is, well, what if we don't have many now? Well, you may not have many at the start, but as the project continues, you might realize, oh, wait, here's a risk. I see something that could potentially happen. Okay?
Okay.
So whenever you think, and this will happen if you've done this for a while, you'll be thinking, ooh, yeah, the transit people might go on strike. It was in the news. Well, would a wide-scale citywide transit strike affect our project? I don't know, it might. You have to look into that. Our city's going to be hosting the Olympics in a number of years. Will that affect the project? I don't know. It might. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like doing this. I don't know. Well, if you don't know, do some analysis to find out.
Okay.
One more question, then I'll have to end class.
Okay, so my question is more general. That is, what if you have several projects going on, like 4 or 5, and how do you keep your eyes on those things and to prioritize those? Should you look at that every day, or should you every 2 days? I mean,
here's what I normally do on every project I'm on. I usually have weekly progress meetings. And that's where I review the issues and action items with everybody on the team. But every day, if a new issue comes up, a new action item comes up, or a new risk comes up, I put it in the log. I create a log of all my issues and action items and risks. Okay? So you don't have to review them every day, but you will have to update them every day if something changes.
Yeah.
You might not have to update it for several days, but if you're on 4 or 5 projects, you will. Here's what I use. Microsoft Excel. If you don't have the money for Microsoft Excel, there's OpenOffice, which is compatible with Excel. Or on the Mac, there's Numbers, which is free. And what I'm going to do in my next class, I'm actually going to show you guys how to manage issues and action items using Excel, as well as risks.
Great.
Well, I've already gone over 1 minute. Guys, thank you so much. It was a short class. Well, not short class. I only had a few students, but you guys made the conversation successful. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.